before starting this video, make sure that you have enough time. This video gonna change your life. If you're a fresher or you're trying to break into SaaS sales, this video take care of all your questions. We have talked about your salary, how you can apply, what skill set you need, how to prepare CV, what is cover letter, how you can write cover letter, what kind of tech stack you can use, all sort of things. Whatever question you have, everything will be answered in this video. So make sure that you have time and you have patience to listen this podcast. And yes, there are other couple of videos which you can watch. So for that, you have to subscribe this channel. Now let's get into this video. Okay, let's start with the wonderful question which you get more often. I want to get into SaaS sales, but where do even I start?
Yes, that is actually one of the most common questions that are sitting on my DM, which actually led me to start a series and host 15-20 minute free consultation sessions with people who want answers to these questions. So I can see that more and more people are getting aware of what SaaS industry is all about. So it's no longer like an alien statement into their into their corpus of knowing things. And as in and with this growing awareness, what is coming is it looks super glorified from the outside. How do I break into it? What's the reality like? So um, I would say there's no right or wrong answer to, or there's no one word answer to it, right? Every person is privy to their own experience. How they have broken into SaaS will be a different story. For me, it was by accident. It was during pandemic. Funny story, but a lot has changed. The industry is a lot more evolved. But I would say that SaaS and the products, the very many products, it's just super evolving in nature. So there's always enough room for anybody and everybody who wants to break in. So I think step one is to just be super confident in making that transition happen and in believing that yes, you are equipped, you are capable of doing this transition, because there's no like playbook, or there's no A to Z guide that is going to say that okay, these are the next steps that can land you from making this transition from B2C to B2B, or from manufacturing to SaaS. It's essentially selling. The skill remains the same. If you're confident in selling one thing, you should pull that confidence into the next conversation that you have with a SaaS recruiter and sell them your story. So um, I would say that most of the conversations that I've had, it was majorly aligning towards the confusion, people being very scared and skeptical, fearing rejections even before they have actually gone and tested the waters. So first thing first is, when you are in sales, regardless whichever industry, you have to first develop the skin in the game. So say no to fears, and you have to sort of get accustomed getting rejected. It could be a rejection from a prospect, it could mean rejection from a recruiter, but every rejection or every no that you get, you have to start treating it as an additional piece of data or an additional piece of insight that you can further leverage more information from. So it
Hmm.
you should not take it as a setback that okay, I'm a failure, what am I going to do next? So learn from every no. Every interview or every conversation that you have is a great way of building knowledge, of being more and more confident about retelling your story. But then you can only powerfully tell your story if you truly believe in it. So if you believe that you're a good salesperson, the skills are transferable in nature. All you need is polished communication. You need confidence. You need the hunger. You need to be able to hustle. And you need to be able to make that conscious choice of taking sales as a serious career, and not just because uh, there are people who are in sales, they're making big bucks. It looks glorified from outside. So let me go and try it. So it has to be a well thought out process than just going for it. So usually I think most of my conversations stem towards helping them arrive to a more concrete mindset, why they are thinking of making this transition, than how. Because first, that why, getting that why answered is very very important, and the answer is within yourself. So during the process of the initial conversation, we try to sort of address that query,
Hmm.
and then I move to addressing, okay, how the process can be more effective, how you can be more efficient with your job search. um, Also to test their awareness, like, do you really know what the sales engine looks like in SaaS, or are you just blindly like applying for an SDR role? You might be like a better fit in doing something more like a cam role, which is farming, which is sort of like more intended towards farming in nature. So knowing your nuances and then helping them, sort of pave the way forward.
That's really nice, right? You have explained a lot, right? But I literally wanted to go in deep that let's say I'm a person who is coming as a fresher. I don't know what is SaaS. I don't know how this industry function. Maybe I'm from law background. I'm just doing graduation in law, or maybe I just graduated and I'm working in a tech company from last 6 months. What
Right.
should be the approach?
So edtech is a very specific example, and I think I've been speaking to a lot of people who are from edtech, and it is a very, very like high-paced, high-velocity ecosystem to survive in. It's, I would say, a relatively easier industry to break into right after graduation when you are still a fresher, but it's very difficult to sustain, and hence, like, within 6 or 8 months of performing in the industry, people are like thriving to change, and it's difficult to make that transition. But I think the biggest transferable skill that you can bring on the table is the resilience that edtech teaches you. You've dealt with volume, so the fear of cold calling, the shyness towards being very assertive towards objection handling, you've dealt it all. You've done that like millions, like million times over, because you're like dialing 200 people every single day. You're facing so many rejections every single day. I would say that all of these skills, all of these experiences are easily transferable. There's nothing that you would do very, very differently in B2B that you haven't already done in B2C, except your knowledge and understanding about the sales cycle. Because in B2B, the sales cycle is a lot less exciting. It's time taking, right? Also, it's slightly more polished. It involves more number of stakeholders, so that requires you to be more patient. It's not going to be like, you open a conversation on a Monday and you're closing it out on a Friday. It could be the case, but it may not be. So I think if you've just spent like very, very short span of time in edtech, while you're deciding to move into SaaS, deciding on which market or which sector you're moving into is very, very important. So SMB might be your safest bet. The next safest bet to consider would be India market, because the language or your communication style or skills is going to be like, very much like you can just mirror what you have done in edtech and bring the same experience on. There's not much of training or not much of doing things differently that is required at this stage. And then gradually, once you are more comfortable speaking the SaaS language, you're more comfortable running slightly more nuanced discovery, like understanding the band methodology, understanding the spin methodology, um, and also being able to do all of that, like run those discoveries as a part of your cold call. Once you're more accustomed to that, I think then you can start looking at expanding your horizon of thinking beyond India, or maybe slightly bigger segments like mid market to SMB. The journey is going to be a lot less easier. You can directly still make a jump from 6 months in edtech, fresh out of college, to selling enterprise products. Uh, but then that's going to be quite, quite a big leap, and also a tougher story for you to sell to the recruiter. Like, you can be an amazing communicator and you can convince them, but your numbers at the end of the day matter the most. And enterprise sales require patience, require months of rigorous follow up. So that comes with practice, that comes with years of experience and comfortness of selling SaaS. So that would be
Hmm.
my suggestion: being mindful of which market and which sector you're picking up to increase your chances of breaking into the interview.
So you talked more about the person who is coming from some kind of background knowledge, maybe whether it's at tech or some other industry, right? What about a graduate who is just graduating up and trying to get into SaaS, right? what kind of skill set, because they are freshers, right? They don't know what exactly they're gonna do, and it's hard to understand the entire industry and SaaS sales process from outside, right? How they can make sure that they are getting into SaaS sales?
I would say it's relatively easier because you are a like it's a clean slate to start with. Um, the key factors that a fresher or a graduate should consider is a keep the I would say not haste into the process, because I think naturally, very organically, we get like super excited and paranoid, like why am I not getting calls, and hence we follow this pray and pray job application approach where we are like pushing our resume to like 100 plus companies every day. That is not going to help. You need to be more mindful with the kind of company that you are applying to. There are two approaches. So usually, like, there are a set of graduates who are very comfortable and open to working in an early stage startup where you get to be a part of of riding the rocket ship and embarking on that 0 to 1 journey, where there is like no strict sort of corpus of KRA KPI defined for you. You, of course, you have your to dos that you have to deliver at the end of the day, but there's a lot of cross functional collaboration that happens. There will be peers who are more than willing to like help you out, who will be able to share information, but essentially you learn most of your skills on the ground. So you're allowed to make mistakes, you're allowed to like experiment like very many things and not just do the usual SDR stuff. So that is one kind of experience which consciously many freshers like taking up, because it gets them exposure to what the SDR ecosystem might look like, what the career graph looks like from there. Also to get an understanding that okay, something very very similar and adjacent to the sales engine is CSM. How does that functionality work? What does the product team do? If I'm coming from a tech background, that could be something of potential interest. So keeping all doors open and being like having that option of learning and collaborating with many teams and then switching careers, or rather like being on the ground and like really doing that groundwork and getting things done. That's one way of learning, but then not everybody has a stomach for it, right? So for the ones who don't want to be in an unstructured sort of environment or who don't thrive there, it's okay. There are like very polished big organizations who have these graduate programs, like they onboard you as an intern or as a graduate trainee, and then they have a very thorough sort of an onboarding process that they put you through. I think again, identifying what companies you are applying for is very important. So I would say that if you're not from a tech background, do not opt to sell something very complex in the first go. Pick up something that you could easily understand when you visited the website. Something that is just like a 2-minute video tutorial can give you an overview about. Something that you can explain your mom that okay, this is what I'm planning to sell if I get selected in this interview. So anything that registers very clearly to your mind without a lot of effort will automatically be easy on your part to sell, or something that you use as an end user and you resonate well with the product would also mean, because I think for a fresher, the most challenging part is you're unaware of what the organizational structures look like, how the processes run. So it's all very alien to you. So think from a consumer perspective, we are using like a lot of SaaS products day in, day out. Anything that I find a lot of usage in that I could relate to, I would look for the company who builds it, and I would see if they have an open position for a fresher. And that would be my safest bet of getting into, because I can sell my story. I can make them believe that, hey, I understand your product, I'm passionate about it. As an end user, kudos to you for building this. Uh, Try me out.
Perfect. I would also like to know, as a fresher perspective, what things I should put on my CV to get hired.
Cut out the fluff. Nobody wants to read about that dance competition that you won 8 years back in your mid school days. Nobody wants to know the details of the debate competition that you participated in. So we understand that you are a fresher, so the CV has to be like a page, that's it, with very little like very targeted information. Uh, it, I think you have a lot more that you couldn't communicate with a cover letter. Even if the company does not require you to mandatorily submit one, I would strongly advise that, especially if you're applying for a global company, definitely invest your time and effort in typing out the cover letter and truly like communicate what you feel, like how passionate you are about, about the role. Because any company who decides to hire people straight out of college, they don't expect to see work experience on your CV. They expect to see
Hmm.
like one internship or like maybe a summer and a winter internship, and that's more than enough. And certain skills that you have honed from it. It could be like a mix and match of certain technical skills that you have learned, and some. I would say that if what is interesting and what stands out for me from a hiring manager POV would be, let's say, a CV that has some mention of, of like just in general that depicts some awareness about the industry. So like you being aware of what a CRM is, or if you have used one in your past internships, then just mentioning that you've like you are aware of using Salesforce or HubSpot, or you've used XYZ tools before. So just that awareness is more than enough. And pretty much like I would say that most of us just look for someone who who comes with a lot of curiosity, that hunger to
Hmm.
learn more, someone who brings a lot of creativity on the table. So get creative with your cover letter. Don't play around a lot with your CV. Keep that simple because that's what the ATS picks up on the keywords. Um, and C would be, coachable. Like one of the key factors would be, at least for me while hiring, is this person coachable? Is he or she open to like taking feedback, and like are they capable of implementing that feedback?
All of you who are watching this video, just for information, ATS is a application tracking system. Most of the company use ATS to make sure that CVs are getting automated shortlisted. You also have to build a CV which is ATS friendly. There are a couple of websites where you can go and automatically generate the ATS format, and those will help you out. Uh, Mayur, I also wanted to understand about the cover letter, right? Most of the people who are go out there and trying to apply in SaaS sales, they miss out a big part of cover letter and they don't know what exactly it is and how to write it. Can you please give us some idea that how anyone can write a good cover letter?
So I would say that, like, to be very honest, while I used to make these applications initial during my initial years of getting started, I I used to consider cover letters as good as an essay because I was straight out of college, and I wanted to keep it like super lengthy and like talk more and more about like all the expertise and experiences that I'm bringing on the table. But then let's get the facts checked. There's very little that we have to offer except for guaranteeing that this is going to be the first job of my life. So I am going to put my 100% and more. So it has to be, the first thing is treat cover letter as good as an email that you send out to a recruiter per se. So have a very like I would say like adhere to a very strict short and sweet message, like something between anything between 150 to 250, max 300 words, depends on the seniority of the role that you're applying for. And start off with a brief introduction of how you came to learn about this role, and who you are, what brings you, what got you excited about being a part of the company. So, and while you're also doing this, have the JD open next to you, because the JD speaks like volumes about it, gives away every information that needs to be there on the cover letter. It outlines the skills, it has a brief about the company, it speaks a little bit about the company culture. So you just need to like borrow those points, and make it your own and say that why these points are relevant, what skills you already have, and then ensuring that the message gives away, like don't try to oversell, but just a very brief note of saying that, hey, I came across this role and this is why I'm the best fit. Here's like here's what I'd read about the company, this is what resonated the most. less on the skills part because the skills are highlighted on your CV, and more about, let's say, the culture and the interpersonal skills that you can bring on the table.
That's really nice, way of explaining the entire cover letter. Okay, I would also like to know about the skills which these people should acquire before applying, or maybe before getting into SaaS sales as a fresher, right? There are a couple of soft skill, hard skill for sure. What are
Mhm.
the mandate skill they should have?
Non-negotiable would be communication, right? This is an interpersonal skill, again, not something that one can vouch and say I'm the best at it. But I think your deal breaker would be your communication skill. You need to be able to articulate why now, and why this company. So also practice pitching your story multiple times before you finally land that interview. The other skills that, like I said, that if anything that makes the recruiter believe that you are already aware or you're somewhat familiar with how the SaaS ecosystem looks like, familiar with the tech stack per se, that's a huge bonus, because that's one less thing that the manager has to now teach you. The other part that I would strongly advise is, uh, you know, joining, like finding people who are embarking a similar journey as that of yours. Like, we have beautiful communities across all social media platforms. So join these communities and participate, like, in discussions, understand, like, if someone who's also a fresher faced a rejection, why, what went wrong, or if someone got selected, how, like, connect with them, understand what they spoke of in the interview, what, like, borrow their CV, understand, okay, what your profile looks like and what you can do differently. Also, I think whatever you've done in your internship, if you have done any internship at all, like I said, don't oversell it, but be able to very clearly explain end to end what you've done. Because in a 3-month internship, nobody, I mean, like, we don't have massive expectations of you, of pulling 100% of the quota, or of building like $1 billion plus deal. If you've done that, well and good, but nobody wants those like fancy success stories. We want something very real, very honest. So stay true to yourself. Don't try to boil the ocean. Don't try to oversell. And whatever you have, like, mentioned on the cover letter or on your CV, own that story, be able to explain it in every level. And research, I think that is super important. The company that you're applying the position into, and you have been called in for an interview, a huge setback or a huge bummer for an interviewer would be, like, you walking in and not being aware of what the company does, and then saying that, this was in short notice, I did not get time to prepare. We all have been there, we all might have done that, but that's not the best interview experience. uh, so you can, as a fresher, you feel obligated. If a recruiter is asking you for an interview today, you have to say yes. You don't have to. You can borrow a day's time to prepare better for the interview. So always come prepared, know the role. If you have questions, ask the interviewer to explain the role, because that's when you get more details. And that's also a huge icebreaker for you to, like, ask more questions and get comfortable, because the other person is talking and you get a breather. um, and then, come prepared with the company, like, just in, even if they haven't asked you the question yet, like, what do you know about this company, just throw in, I recently, like, read this article, or about your recent product release. um, which markets are you targeting, or just something, like, that triggers, or that makes me believe that, okay, he or she is truly, like, interested or curious about the role.
What is the importance of being active on LinkedIn, and how freshers should build a LinkedIn profile? What your thought on it?
I would say the freshers are, like, doing a much better job than I had done during my college days in building their personal brand, right? Because, like, I think social media is now like something that we should learn from the Gen Z as compared to
Hmm.
us teaching them. But um, uh, like, I would say finding the right balance, because it's not just about growing your network; it's about growing your network with the right quality of connections. You can have like 25,000 followers, but organically you've grown them. But then out of these 25,000 followers, how many like belong to the industry that you are targeting or that you are a part of? Because there's something called a social selling index for the LinkedIn premium users, so that defines like how like the quality of your profile. And that kind of goes down when you are just connected to anybody and everybody. So um, be conscious of growing your network, I think, as a part of like being in college and being so much exposed to social media. You automatically like start with a very strong base of few hundreds of connections already. um, I would say leverage LinkedIn to, you know, leverage LinkedIn to an extent that it becomes your own search engine that keeps notifying you on all of your target companies, on all of the new job roles that you are interested in. Uh, Join the community circles, uh, engage regularly. Again, as a fresher, like, you will have very little success stories in terms of making actual sales, but it could be any story. Like it could be your struggle story perhaps, or it could be you seeking suggestions from people that you're posting out on social media. So probably like just be out there, be natural, be yourself, grow your network, but grow it consciously and organically. Communities are a great, again, like I can't like not stress more on how important role communities play in building your network and also building your personal brand, because that's how we connected. So
Yeah.
uh, that's how you get to like learn about new companies day in day out. And whenever you learn about a company that looks interesting, follow the company. It takes
Hmm.
nothing for us to follow the page. But then once you do that, you always have the notifications coming on your feed, and try and engage more, because that's a beautiful icebreaker when you speak to a recruiter and you're already aware of what the company is. Yeah, just that.
Okay, I would also like to know that being a fresher, how I can find out that which other companies are there, how I can apply there. So let's say if I wanted to apply in a company, first I have to decide that where I should go, what should be the industry. In
Mm,
SaaS itself, there are multiple kind of business, right? Maybe there are sales tools, there are CRMs, there are ERP, there are day-to-day to-do list automation. There's so many SaaS are there, right?
correct.
What sort of industry I should finalize, how I can get to know about the companies, and
Mhm.
then we will talk more about how we can apply. But first, how to decide industry and where to find out the companies.
Absolutely. So that's a great question. The SDR in me is screaming that okay, we can use so many filters to narrow our search, but then poor freshers who do not have access to Sales Navigator license or to any of these prospecting tools. So the easier way that you can find is not just restricting your job search to LinkedIn, but also to open your search across multiple job portals, and be very active with your job application on a day in day out basis, because that helps with their algorithm. Before I dive in deep in explaining the filters that you can consider, one of the things that I missed answering in my previous question would be some of the LinkedIn profile housekeeping rules. So having a very proper you don't have to necessarily be like super professional with the photo that you choose to put up as a DP, but a clear photograph of yours with a nice background, a cover pic that reflects what you believe or what you're currently working on. That is the first impression that people get of you. So ensure that you have a solid picture, rightfully selected, with a very clear um, and defined, short and sweet headline. So if you're looking out for a job, then ensure that it is visible at the very top of your profile. If you're open to work, mention that. And then what are the sectors that you've worked in, or what sectors are you looking to connect to? Have your contact details updated, have your About Me section updated. Um, Again, it need not be an essay, but a brief about who you are, the skills that you're bringing in, and pretty much, where to contact you. Any of the accolades that you might have gathered, upload all of that on your features section, and repeatedly engage on people's post and companies' post that you're targeting. So that's that. I missed that point out, but I think that's very, very important, and things that we just let go. We don't really give it much thought. Coming back, long story short, job search on LinkedIn or on Naukri is, um, like I said, that, as a fresher, firstly, you have to control your paranoia of not getting calls or not getting enough calls. Am I not making enough applications? So it's not that you are throwing in hundred or thousands of applications. If you're not getting a call, it's only because your profile is not being shortlisted, because you're not the right fit for the job, or you're not communicating the right message to the recruiter. So you have to leverage your skill of personalization. And the industries, target the easier industry first to break into SaaS. If you're not from a technical background, um, like for someone like me, selling a CRM was relatively easier than selling a service desk. Or selling an HRMS software can be a lot more easier, because the HR personas are likely more open to having like cold conversations. They may not end up buying it, but then at least, you they are more amicable towards like these cold calls that young sellers are making. So be very mindful of these low hanging industries that you can break into. So like a CRM, it could be a chatbot that you're selling, it could be something, instead of going for an entire suite of product, which might be too much to sell, go for a single product led company, or like within a big company, just one vertical that you'd be responsible for. Nothing super complex. Again, in terms of the sector, also see if they are looking to hire someone for SMB mid market, you have higher chances of cracking it there. If they are selling in India market, you have even higher chances of cracking it. The next safest bet might be US, because even though you require a lot of different skill sets, people are ready to invest that time and effort in getting you trained for the job, because there aren't too many people who are open to doing night shifts. So that openness, if you are willing to take up the challenge, there are a lot of job options and opportunities, that you can get if you're open to US market. So that is another pro tip. um, in terms of industry, like I said, that industries that you are familiar with, that should be your top priority. Within those industries, broader industry heading would be anything software, it hardware, something within those within those brackets. And then once you get the list of companies, you have to just drill down to searching, like run a keyword search for like SMB SDR, um, associate SDR, BDR, like keywords like that, and ensure those keywords are also reflecting on your CV. And for every job application that you're making, be it on Naukri, be it on LinkedIn, there are filters that you can put the location, the years of experience, the package. I would say be open to the package, like be open to discussion, don't limit yourself. um, the industries also, you can just filter it out, run the search, but don't end your job application by just clicking on that easy apply. Take that extra step of trying to find out who the hiring manager is or who the recruiter is, and try and connect with that person. Just wait for 2 days if there's no revert, and if you truly believe that this is the job for me, take that extra step of finding that person, reaching out to him or her on LinkedIn. You have your best bet of connecting to a recruiter over a hiring manager. So you can try reaching out to them with your personalized message that, hey, I saw this job opening, is it still there, I want to apply. Try connecting with existing SDRs of that company, see if they can refer you, learn more about the culture, understand a little bit about what the targets are looking like, what tech stack they have. You can be better prepared for the interview that way. An internal referral really helps. So, and like by doing all of this, you are already like doing what an SDR is supposed to do. So
Hmm.
you kind of like you have already broken into the shoes. So sort of like know the you've surpassed uh, that stage where you're shy when it comes to approaching a stranger and asking for a favor or asking to directly spend their money. So you've surpassed that stage, and recruiters and hiring managers appreciate that move.
Okay, let's talk about the salary structure. As a fresher, what kind of salary I can expect, especially if I'm starting up in India market or maybe some other industry or I mean some other market. If you can little bit give an idea.
Salary structures, I would say, widely differ when it comes to working for a structured enterprise level SaaS company versus um, you know um, a startup, a startup at a seed stage or Series A perhaps, or like someone a startup that is just getting started or geared up. Um, for the latter case, we often see it is variable heavy, so incentive heavy structure, usually like it's a 60-40 split. Most of the companies, like majority of the companies, mid-size companies, would offer you a 70-30 split, which is widely acceptable across India. Whereas if you move up the ladder and look for slightly more established, 20-year-old companies who have been in business long enough, the base salary might be lower, but it's a healthy 80-20 balance. So 80% fixed, 20% variable. So as a fresher, I think you can like definitely go ahead with an incentive heavy structure, because that gives you a lot of motivation to sort of push yourself and get those commissions, and it is uncapped in most cases, so there's no limit to how much you can make in a month. And then gradually, once you move up the ladder, your priorities also shift to being more stable. A starting range, it's difficult to put up the range, but then like I said that uh, depending on the split, but anything between 12 LPAs sort of, as a fresher, fresh out of graduate BCom or BA, like 3-year graduate, would be a very decent place to be. 1 or 2 years of experience. And yeah, and people might differ because this is very very subjective to the company, and I don't want to give away a number just for the sake of giving it, but the structures, this is what usually it looks like.
So 12 is the CTC, considering the part of fixed and variable component in it.
Probably like 12, 15, depends on like the size of uh, I would say again a mix of like fixed plus variable. Also, as a fresher, pro tip advice: please take a closer look at your CTC structure. There are so many other factors that are usually incorporated to make the figure look super inflated. So read through what is included, what is relevant. If you are unaware of certain things, please reach out to the recruiter or to someone who's already a part of that team and is drawing that salary, and ask them for an advice.
That's really nice. And yeah, you're the first one who's saying go and talk about salary to the people who are already working.
I
So
would say like don't give away the number, but then you can always ask them the structure, right? Like when I first joined SaaS, I would say there's something called a flexi basket, right? A flexi bucket, and it's very difficult to sort of like for a fresher to understand. Okay, what are these tax saving components? So speak to a senior, just understand that. Okay, what is it? Or just speak to your recruiter, like he or she will help guide you and give you more details around the same.
so far we have talked a lot about how to finalize and CTC and all sort of things, right? Let's get on work. How I should apply? You already mentioned don't just apply on LinkedIn, right? Try other way, reaching out to hiring manager, right? But what should I say to them, like, and why anyone should accept my connection request as a fresher?
Okay, so the why, so two things. So for people to accept your connection request, you have to first make sure that your profile is polished enough, right? And those housekeeping rules that we just spoke of, you have to ensure all of that has been taken care of. The next thing that you have already done is, as a part of your engagement, as a part of your engagement task on LinkedIn, you already follow a bunch of companies that the person that you're connecting to might also follow. You are already a member of many of the communities that the person that you're connecting with might also be a part of. Look for like mutual connects. It helps, it increases your chances of getting the request accepted. Else, just put a personalized note. Be as blunt and as polite as possible at the same time. uh, reason like reach out with the very clear reason why you're reaching out, right? Recently I had someone reach out to my DM, um, being absolutely clear that I noticed this open position for XYZ vertical in your company. Wanted to reach out to you to see if you could kindly like refer me to the role. So it was very direct. Now this is under my discretion if I want to accept and help the person, or if I choose that, hey, I don't know you, I am not sure if I should refer you or not. But then you have like put out the message very clearly why you're reaching out, and then bhagwan bharose.
But yeah, being direct always work, and that's work for me also, right? Because most of the people whom you're reaching out, they are little bit occupied, right? And even they are not occupied, they would like to show they're occupied, right? So being direct always works. Yeah, always
Look
works.
busy even if you're not.
Yeah, of course. Even you're not, right? You'll. It's feel good to make sure that you're occupied. People
I
are
would
assuming.
I would also say that, for a certain company which is slightly bigger in size and scale, um, sometimes it's difficult to directly get like the hiring manager connected to you. Why should they? Or rather, like they are not very active in checking their friend requests like time and again, right? They have other things to do on LinkedIn. Uh, but then the SDRs in the team that this person might be leading are super active on LinkedIn. They are, just a year or two senior to you. They are more than happy to connect with you, build their network, build their brand. You can also like, seek some advice, treat them as your mentor, and give them a shout out on LinkedIn, which is going to further boost their personal brand in so many different ways. So they are more than happy to connect and, to give you like to give you that extra edge of getting a step closer to the decision makers. Because when this person looks at your request and sees 5 out of 10 of his team members already your friend, you know he already has like some level of like familiarity with your profile. He sort of have established that trust. So you have better chances of getting that connect accepted.
So far, we have talked about finding a job, right?
Mhm.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, right? How a person can stay in SaaS sales and what they should do as a fresher in first 6 months of their job.
Okay, so it'll be a mix and match of both developing their interpersonal skills as well as their professional skills. So first thing first would be to just be patient with the process, believe in the process. This is like, most people who drop out of sales do it within their first year of being in sales, thinking that this is not my cup of tea. So I would say just wait until the magic works. Give it some time. You're very new. You're very new, not just to selling the product, but you're new to the whole corporate world. So, for God's sake, like cut yourself some slack. Take a step back, enjoy the process. That 1 month onboarding isn't enough for you to start hitting your number magically. So, even as a manager, what I like to do is for freshers, I like to break the bigger goals into smaller, realistic, achievable goals and then ramp it out. Gradually, like increasing your ramping target over the first quarter post onboarding, so that you lay out the expectations from your team members very clearly. Like, hey, I don't expect you to sort of like do beyond 100% in your first month, but these are the KRA KPIs that would lead you to success. So these are going to be a stepping stones. This is what I want from you. Like, these number of activities. I want you to be more diligent in getting your personalized messages reviewed from your managers, from your peers, and sending X number of messages uh, to these prospects, ensuring that you're consuming enough accounts, ensuring that you are adding enough prospects from those accounts. Because sales is sort of a machine, right? You have to fuel the machine and then keep fueling it until the machine has picked up its speed, and then you'd see results churning automatically. But then few machines take some time to get oiled and to, like, get fully ramped. So you have to be patient with the process and always communicate and relay what you're going through to your manager. It's very, very important, because I think for me, one of my biggest roadblocks, even though I'm an extrovert person, one of the biggest roadblocks I had when I broke into SaaS was uh, fearing judgment from my manager, from my then manager, even though he's a wonderful person. He is a wonderful person. But I think when you're not hitting the numbers as a part of your ramping targets, you somewhere feel like that fear of judgment coming, like in every one-on-one. So you don't want, of course, the discussions would be performance led, right? But most managers should also address the more facilitative coaching side, where you're trying to like delve deeper into what what went wrong, rather than just giving answers and saying this is what you should do. Let them solution it out themselves. And also relaying, always relay your thoughts to your manager or to your peers, like, I tried this but I'm not being able to succeed it. Probably, they can do a lot more other things, experiment with you, get involved with you at various stages until you succeed. So give yourself time, be resilient, be patient with the process, leverage the tech. Most SaaS companies invest heavily in building a beautiful tech stack. This is at your disposal. Most people don't use it to its optimum level. So this is where you can, really become an expert in leveraging the tech, because they do half the work for you. Leverage chat gpt if you're struggling in writing a quality message, then leverage that to help you get started and providing you some context, and then you can, work your own magic on it. So life is so much better, like, now that I now that I am trying to paint the canvas for what a new SDR into the business would look and deal with. Yeah, life is so much more better than what it used to be 10 years back.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, for same thing which I wanted to ask, right? For the people who are just breaking and they are freshers, what kind of tech stack they should learn, which is easily available for them for free, and
Mhm.
they can hands-on, which gonna help them to work more efficiently and get job more easily.
Job more easily or not, there's no guarantee for any certification that can get you an interview. But HubSpot Academy, like, there are certifications, but then, I mean, it's not like a proven formula to success, right? You still have to be able to communicate what you've learned out of that course. um, HubSpot Academy is a very, decent and free, beautifully designed resource library, made available for anyone and everyone. There are, like, beautiful context. There's a SDR friendly collateral library available for Cognism, also something that Cognism has built. Uh, Follow Gong. Gong keeps, like, sharing a bunch of SDR and sales, rather sales friendly resources and articles, and there are just these are all like free resources that are surfacing. Follow the influencers on LinkedIn who are sharing a lot of context, and it like, most of it, one might feel that most of it is very generic in nature, but then it clearly isn't, right? Like, you can literally implement each one of these advices, of course, add your own touch and flavor to it and make it your own. Like, it's nothing is generic. uh, it's just a flow that people are sharing, and you have to, like, learn how to make tailor it to your use. And that comes with practice. So Gong, Cognism, HubSpot, uh, Outplay, of course, Outplay is for the SDRs by the SDRs. They have, they have a beautiful resources library that gives away, like, so much more information. And any company that you're applying for has a resources tab on their website. you and which also has a lot of industry specific articles on it, like most often, like the marketing team writes blogs which are not just specific to do with the product or the solution, but then the industry that they are catering into. So you don't even have to like read through the entire, like, 30-page long article if it is like a report. Just ask ChatGPT to summarize the key points for you. But then these are the level of research or just awareness in general that can help you stand out from the typical crowd, being more aware of what you're doing.
All of you are watching this video, if you're watching this video before 15th April 2025, please subscribe this channel, because podcast with Outplay co-founder CEO Lakshman will be very soon out. And if you're watching after 15th April 2025, then go and check it out, the podcast with Outplay co-founder and CEO Lakshman. Okay. That was just a promotional message,
No
nothing else.
worries.
Okay.
I would also stay tuned to your channel for that, because I've been following Outplay for long, love their product, have used their product.
My last question, which is very much important. What are the bullets, right? What are the silver bullets which you like to mention for the people who wanted to get into SaaS sales as a fresher?
As a fresher, or I would keep it more open ended, like as a fresher or not, I would say that awareness is very, very important. So uh, just don't like just don't decide to break into SaaS because everybody is doing that. uh, Try to ask yourself the question why you want to break into SaaS. Like, what is SaaS? How much are you aware, or how little are you aware of the industry as a whole? And then within SaaS, try to identify your niche. And like I said, that start with the safest bets first, the easier low hanger products first, because whatever you can easily understand, you'd be able to sell more easily. So, and again, the best part, like if you're a fresher trying to break into sales of SaaS, taking the SDR route is, of course, going to be the easiest nut to crack. Also, it is going to give you that exposure of developing the skin in the game, handling objections, doing the prospecting side of things, getting aware and accustomed of using different tech. At the same time, even if you're not technically super sound, you can still make your way through it, because you don't have to essentially solution the product. What you're doing is establishing the problem statement, and then ensuring that the person that you're talking to understands that, and like reiterates that, okay, this does sound like a problem of my world, how can you help? And that's when you say that, okay, I can give you a brief of how can I help, but let's talk more uh, with this AE guy that I work with. And bam, you have your qualified meeting there with a decent pipe waiting. So being an SDR, I think, is a very, very strong stepping stone into building a beautiful career in sales. And then gradually you get the exposure of what potentially could be the next steps for you. And you can branch out whichever way you want. But step one, awareness. Step two, preparedness. So while you're applying for a job, while you are preparing for an interview, research is the key. So there's no like shortcuts to, just spraying your approach and then praying that I hope I get a response out of it. You have to be more thoughtful, more more targeted with your job applications as well.
That's really nice. Thank you so much, Mayur, for explaining all these things. I know this video going to help so many people who are trying to get into SaaS, and wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much.
Likewise, thank you so much, Pratik, for having me.